Hey there, Pete Winiarski with Terry Levine, the ultimate game plan, power up your consulting business, skyrocket your revenues. You as a consultant have to solve problems, and we're going to talk in a couple of these videos about the different types of problems. Read these chapters at least twice, because these are really important. You are here to solve client problems. We've talked about that skill as being super important, and this is, it's critical. What we'll talk about in this short video is about financial problems. We're not going to regurgitate the chapter. We want you to reread this chapter. Make sure you really take notes in the margins on this one and understand the basics of how business financials work. It's so important. It's the guideline. It's the rule book. It's how businesses evaluate themselves. In the end, there's a level of revenue, there's a level of cost, there's a profit, there's cash flow, there's inventory that you might have to buy and other supplies and things that you have to buy with the cash that you have. You might need to get financing to augment all of that. So this is, really big, hairy monster. If there's a financial issue like I'm not as profitable or I don't have the cash flow, they might pull in a consultant and say, help me with this. So you need to have the awareness of how to look through the financial statements to get at where some of the problem areas are. Remember, you're a hypothesis-based problem solver, so you look at the numbers, you say, aha, I think something might be up here, I think something might be up here, da-da-da-da. Then you test it out, you go look with your own eyes, you do some other analyses. All of this is really, really important to make sure that you're able to tie a thread to make these changes should equate to this much improvement that would then reflect itself as you read the financial statements themselves, right? A before and after. So fundamentally important and critical to your client's success and your success by being able to help them through that. So study this. What I also want to point out is any change that you make, any strategy that you implement to solve any problem, you also need to know how does that tie to financial impact so that you can make sure that your client is really clear. This little change in this little process over here, when expanded out to all the company's operations, might actually be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars of improvement over the course of a year, right? So this little tiny thing might seem insignificant on the surface, but make sure you're clear and your client is clear how that adds up to be a really big financial value. Ultimately, you continue to add more value to your clients. They love you. It's a bigger return on investment than what they paid you in fees, and they stay happy. So part of this is you helping to convince them and make sure they're clear how happy they ought to be because of the results that you're getting. I mean, I don't know what else to say. This is just so important. Terry, what am I missing?
No, you're not missing anything. It is critically important. And if you think about it, imagine that you're the client, like step into their shoes. You're investing money, large amount perhaps, small amount, medium amount, whatever that looks like. And you want to make sure you're getting a return on investment because the only reason that anybody is in business at the end of the day is to make a profit. Otherwise, we don't have businesses, we have hobbies. So when somebody hires a consultant, even though it might be for systemization, even though it might be for customer service, it might be a lean process, whatever it is, ultimately they want the result that this is going to make their company better, stronger financially. Now, I want to also say this. If you don't have a background in finance, I certainly didn't have that background, you can learn these kinds of things. You can learn how to read a P&L. You can learn how to put together a P&L. And by the way, I'm not a mathematical person. It's like my brain is not in that area. However, I've run very, very large organizations, and I learned. And it's not a big deal to learn. You have to learn this skill. So if you don't have this skill, hire someone who can help you. Get in with a mastermind group where others can help you with this. Think about this from the client's perspective. They want to know how's it working. They don't just want to hear, oh, it's going really well. Or why are we going to tweak this one thing? Oh, it's because it's going to give you better morale. Well, what does better morale mean ultimately? Well, it means you have more engaged workers. When you have more engaged workers, statistically, they call out less, they get injured less. Statistically, you have lower turnover. Let's look at what that does to the dollars in your business. And the business is looking to have more profits and more cash. Every business is looking for that, which is why you're in something that's never going to have a bubble, all right? So even if this is a little uncomfortable, you've got to get familiar with this. You've got to learn this. And if it is comfortable, you have to make sure this is the ball that you keep your eye on and keep your customers on. Because just like Pete said, we want happy customers, right? We want them to be with us lifelong. We want them to be wowed. We want them to refer. When they are seeing significant dollar changes, they'll love you a lot more. So I think we've covered it.
I think we have too. We've made the case. So get to work and study this chapter again.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.